In today's video, we're going to be talking about the things you need to take into consideration when you're looking at going onto a keto diet. We will begin with some of the expectations. Obviously, the word keto comes from the word ketosis. Ketosis is simply a way your body can deprive energy from fat opposed to sugar. So when you're burning energy through fat, you're actually breaking down that fat into something called ketone bodies. These ketones are then utilized for energy. This is very different than sugar metabolism, and as a result, there are going to be some expectations when you do begin a keto diet. One of them, and you may have heard of this, is the dreaded keto flu. So the keto flu is simply just a feeling of being off. And sometimes this feeling can last days or even a week. I've even heard the odd person say that they experienced it for 2 weeks. Luckily, not everybody experiences the keto flu, but it is a real possibility that you may feel just a little bit off your first couple of days as your body's adapting. The good news is that it is only temporary, and once you've gone beyond that keto flu, you shouldn't run into it again. Well, provided you stay on the horse. If you were to switch back to carbs and then back to keto again, you might still experience it again. It really comes down to individuals. In my case, my body switches very fast between a sugar diet and a keto diet. I tend to not really experience a keto flu, and that is fantastic. Carb cravings, that will be one of the big hindrances right away. Because once you start on the keto lifestyle, you are going to be craving carbs initially. You're going to be craving, whether it be potatoes, or maybe it's that snack, or maybe it's chocolate. Who knows what it's going to be. Now, there are forms of chocolate that you can have on keto, but we'll get to that in another video. For now, it's just a good idea to understand these cravings will happen and that they will pass. Once you've gotten far enough into keto, you'll actually find that you'll start to move towards something we call fat adapted. That's when your body prefers the fat to carbs. And when that happens, those type of cravings really aren't going to persist at all. In some cases, you may not have any cravings at all towards carbs once you've become fat adapted. And that's fantastic. That's really, really good. Now, one other interesting factor when it comes to keto is intermittent fasting. Now, intermittent fasting is technically not a keto thing, but it fits in so well with keto. When you're on keto, you will find, especially once you become fat adapted, your body's going to have all the food it wants, really. It's pulling most of it, it's pulling a lot of it off of your belly or your thighs. But you'll find that you just won't be hungry. It'll be very easy to fall into an intermittent fasting. In some cases, some people don't even have their first meal of the day until noon, or even as late as 2 p.m. It really depends on your lifestyle and where you can fit your meals in. And sometimes you will find you may even have to remind yourself to eat because you're simply not hungry. That's one of the advantages to the keto lifestyle. I certainly do like the intermittent fasting, and we're going to talk a lot more about fasting in future videos, intermittent fasting, and even some of the more long-term fasting. We'll talk a little bit about that, the pros, the cons. Is this something that you need to be doing, or is it something you shouldn't be doing? That, of course, we're going to cover all of that as we take this journey together towards the keto lifestyle. There's also some basic supplies. I just want to sort of throw this out here. There are also basic supplies that are good to have. They're not 100% necessary, but I'll just sort of drop just a little bit of information here. First of all, when it comes to cooking, because you find that you will be eating a lot of the same thing, it really helps to be able to add a lot of flavor to what you're eating. One of the more successful items out there, if you don't already have one, is an air fryer. I hugely recommend you get one. You can do some amazing things with chicken, even with hamburger. There's just so much you can do with an air fryer. So that would be high on my list because it's one great way to make some of your keto meals a lot more interesting. Now, another thing is salt. Now, in the old school, you'll hear people say, oh, you got to cut back on your salt. Not so much with keto. With keto, salt is important for maintaining a proper water balance in your body. There's a lot of nutrition in salt. If you look at sea salt or Himalayan pink salt, both of those pack a punch when it comes to nutrition. So you'll get other things like you'll get iodine, for example. Now, the Himalayan pink salt is more expensive, and if that is out of your price range, then absolutely just buy sea salt. Sea salt is rather cheap and it is fantastic. A lot of people will really sing the praises of the Himalayan pink salt. It is good, but I don't think it's that far above the sea salt. So if you're looking to budget, you may want to go with the sea salt, but that's entirely up to you. Now, another thing is we need to talk a little bit about magnesium and potassium. Those are two minerals on keto that is very easy to accidentally not get enough of. If you're not getting enough magnesium, or if you're not getting enough potassium, it can actually lead to leg cramps at night. Those are not fun, so you kind of want to make sure you're getting enough magnesium and enough potassium. So definitely a magnesium supplement is perfect. There is also magnesium oil that you can buy, a spray oil that you can just sort of spray on your legs and rub it in. I will sometimes do that if I'm doing like longer term fasting. I will use the oil just because it gets to the spot where the issues are. So legs, for example, where you may have leg cramping. You can also use Epsom salts. For example, if you take a bath with Epsom salts, your body will just absorb in that magnesium. So those are a couple of things that are really good. Now with potassium, most of the over-the-counter potassium supplements don't give you very much potassium at all. Your body actually needs quite a bit of it. So what I recommend is something called New Salt. So New Salt is a potassium chloride salt. It comes in a regular salt shaker. You just sprinkle a little bit in some water and just drink that. That will get you a lot closer to your daily potassium needs, which is great because you want to definitely be maintaining your electrolytes while you're on keto. Now, sweetener. I tend to be in the camp where I try not to be sweetening my stuff. Once I become fat adapted, I'm not really craving sweetness, but not everybody is the same. If you really need your sweetener, the two best, in my opinion, would be allulose or monk fruit. So allulose is newer. It's a little better. It's also a little more expensive. The monk fruit is a little bit cheaper, so that may be a couple of options for sweetening. And stevia is also not too bad. It is naturally derived, so stevia would definitely be an option for you as well. Now, some people love their MCT oil. So your MCT oil, it is a way to get some extra fat into your meal, or if you're looking to build something called a bulletproof coffee, it's one of the main ingredients for that. I usually don't recommend you go overboard on MCT oil because you don't need to add a ton of fat initially to your diet. You will get that from your food, no problem. And you also kind of want to be eating the fat on your thigh opposed to the fat on your plate whenever possible. So we're going to talk a lot about that as we begin moving along on this journey. But I will still add MCT oil to that list because it can make a wonderful mix in your coffee. Now, let's just talk about reporting. I will add a scale because it is good to have a scale to keep track of your weight, but I want to give a but to this. You should only be weighing yourself once a week. Don't weigh yourself every day. Your body will fluctuate. Everything from the amount of water you're holding on to can completely change your numbers. And sometimes with keto, you're losing fat. You're also gaining muscle at the same time. And that's a combination where you can have a week where you'll step on the scale and you've lost nothing. But that's not the real story. The real story is that you did tone up a bit of your muscle, and that has counteracted the weight that you actually did lose, the fat that you lost. So keep the scale. Always take your scale with a pinch of salt. Now, what's more reliable than a scale is a good old-fashioned measuring tape, because when you're taking your measurements, those don't lie. If you've gotten smaller, you will know. Even if the scale isn't showing it, that measuring tape sure will be. Those are just a few basic supplies. You don't have to get any of them, or you can get all of them, or you can pick and choose. It's entirely up to you, because you can do keto on as low a budget as you want to. And I want to just be entirely clear on that. Now, all these items I am including down below. I do have affiliate links for the items that we mention on the show. If you're interested, definitely go take a look. If any of them tickle your fancy, you can definitely grab them on Amazon, or some of them as well you might be able to even get at your local grocery store. I'm also doing a financial challenge at the end of these videos. So for all the money I've calculated that I've saved while doing keto, I am going to invest in an ETF, so an exchange traded fund. So it's a type of stock. It's like an index fund. So I will be investing in that on a platform called Wealthsimple. So any of you who want to follow along and do that part as well, I'll leave you a link down below for Wealthsimple. It's a really easy platform to use. When you use my affiliate link as well, you'll get 2 free stocks. So of course, you don't have to use Wealthsimple. They tend to be the best if you want to do the financial part. You may just be here for the weight loss part, and that's absolutely okay too. Anyway, we'll talk more about this as we progress. So our next video will be the January 1st weigh-in, where we'll begin the challenge. I look forward to seeing all of you there. If any of you are new and here for the first time, then definitely click on that like and hit that subscribe button so that you can follow me on this journey. And until next time, take care and keep losing.